like to tell a story about how I experienced explicit bias, or at least I felt like I did. And I just want to begin with saying that this story does involve law enforcement and a judge and some officers. And I 100% respect the law. I respect officers. I think that their job is hard to do and it's an amazing job, and I would never say anything negative about them. Just in this case, I happened to feel discriminated against and some racism in the court. So I was 18 years old when this happened. It was 2014. It was around the 4th of July. The original incident occurred up on the trails off of Montecito, because that's where my friends and I were set up to watch the fireworks that evening, and that is where we got charged for trespassing. What had happened was my friends and I had gone up to the trail in several different cars to go watch the fireworks. So it was nighttime, obviously. We'd gone up there. Someone in the neighborhood that we were in had reported us as starting fires up in the trails, which of course was not true. So the officers, of course, responded. They found us out there. They lined us up shoulder to shoulder, asked us what we were doing. We said watching the fireworks. They continued to have us separated into groups of minors and non-minors, so 18 and olders and 17 and unders. I was an 18 and older at the time. From there, we were all given tickets for, the ticket was for trespassing in a public park after hours. Trespassing in a state park after hours. After that, we were discussing the tickets as our parents picked us up, and we realized that the one girl who did not get tickets was the one Caucasian girl that we were with, and it was also because her father was a police officer, so they knew her father and they did not give her the ticket. But more importantly, it was the only Caucasian girl in the group. The rest of us are African American, Latin, and or Mexican. From that point forward, about a week later, I had to go to court for my ticket. I went to the courtroom on time, did everything I was supposed to do, and of course I pled not guilty. Coincidentally, my friend that was there as well had her court date before mine. So I had asked her what she said, what happened. She obviously pled not guilty to trespassing because we didn't know we were trespassing. It was completely by accident. And she said she told them that it was an accident. We didn't know. We just wanted to watch the fireworks. We had no intention of starting fires. All we had on us were lawn chairs and a cooler with snacks in it, which can be confirmed in the report because they searched all of our stuff. And she said she was so sorry, it wouldn't happen again, she'll be more careful, and the judge gave her a not guilty sentence and she was free to go, no charge. So, seeing as I had the same judge as her, and I had obviously been charged by the same officers as her, I said verbatim what she said as my court date started. When I was called up, I said exactly what she said. I was sorry, I didn't know, it was my mistake, and continued. And then the same judge, same officer, same exact verbatim what she said, and I was charged guilty, and resulted in a $650 fine that I had to pay out of pocket. I felt like that was unfair because the friend I previously mentioned who was let off as not guilty, she has a very, very white Caucasian complexion. She is Latin, but her skin tone is more Caucasian, so you wouldn't know she was Latin, versus my skin tone is much darker and tanner, so I'm clearly African American, and I was charged guilty. I felt like that was completely unfair. There were no bystanders or anyone to help us out. It was just us, our word against theirs. I wouldn't say I felt safe and or unsafe. I just more felt disappointed because I'd always heard, I've never really experienced racism for myself. I've always been pretty lucky in that area. I grew up in very supportive areas that are very mixed. But in this case, it was the first time in my life I had really experienced firsthand what it felt like to be singled out, and I couldn't help but think it was maybe because of my skin color, because that was the only difference between me and my other friend from the case, and we had completely different outcomes. When it happened, I was just more confused and disappointed, and when I was telling my mom about it, she tried to comfort me. I talk about it now. I have no sense of like confusion anymore. I'm okay. It was just one fine. I paid it with my next paycheck. It was just upsetting that I had wasted my money on that when other friends did not. Any resolution to the event was basically I just paid the fine and I just moved on with my life, but I was much more careful to remember that in those kinds of situations, sometimes people don't realize it, but they're being racist when they single you out. And I know it sounds more like implicit bias, and I think it might have been explicit bias, but not on purpose. I think it could have been handled differently by, one, giving everyone tickets if it was fair, and two, I think the judge should have either, because she had all of us, I think she either should have charged all of us or not charged all of us. We could either all be guilty or all be not guilty, but there's no reason that we should have different verdicts. If I was on the outside looking in, I definitely think that I would have. I don't really know what someone outside looking in could have done in this situation, because you obviously can't come up and go against the police when they're doing their job. It's just something that had to be done. I think the life lesson is, again, to just remember that I am a different color than people, and sometimes that has its consequences, and it's just the world we live in, and it's not a fair world, but it is our world. So that's just something I need to live and learn with. And now that I do have a son, I'm going to teach him as a young African American male, he needs to be careful and he needs to watch his actions. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. Based off of my encounter with bias, I'm not really sure of an exact specific activity I could use to teach young children the importance of equality, but I would be one to remember that in any activity and or in class, that they need to all be treated equal, meaning they all need to be punished equal, even though punish is a harsh word. Like if someone does something wrong, no matter their color, boy, girl, ethnicity, culture, the punishment and or the rules are rules, and they're not meant to be broken. So everyone would receive the same. Just because someone was African American, I wouldn't make him sit in timeout or whatever longer than anyone else. I would try to keep everything equal. As far as my personal experience and how it shaped me, basically I'm just more careful. I've always been very proud of being African American, so that hasn't changed. I just need to remember that depending on the area I'm in, that may or may not come with bias. Here in California is a lot different from where I lived in Arizona, where all of my friends were African American pretty much, because that's just a lot of the people who live there, versus here in California, I don't know very many African American people. So it is different here, and I just remember where I am and how it's different, and hopefully that will one day change, but for now, that is where we live and how it is. And that's all I pretty much have to say about that.